you're looking at a man that has many parents blood boiling at this moment here in Sydney, Australia. This is the New South Wales Health Minister, Brad Hazzard, who today responded to questions from the media about 163 high school students being wrongly or incorrectly vaccinated. And these 163 students were vaccinated with a Pfizer vaccine intended for other people. And at a press conference where this man here, Brad Hazzard, it's an interesting name, isn't it, for a health minister, Hazzard of a health minister. I'm not the first person to come up with a pun like that. And actually at the moment, I'm not sure it would get many laughs because he's seriously upset people. And the reason for that is because at his press conference, and I'll put the audio on now, I'm sure some of you might have seen it, but for those of you overseas, I'd really like you to stay watching, even though this is about New South Wales, because it's what I've been saying for decades. It's representative of the culture, the problem with public health in New South Wales and in Australia generally.
What I find more embarrassing, James, is you make that sort of question accusation against frontline health staff who work their butts off and who tomorrow will have achieved a million vaccinations into arms. You know what? School intended it well, there was a mistake, and so what? It's happened. Out of 1 million vaccinations, move on.
Okay, well, so what? Move on. It's happened. So what? So what? Well, I'll tell Brad Hazzard, so what? So what? You've actually exposed the problem with public health in Australia. And it's what I've been talking about for decades, as I've said. I'm on the record. Have a look on YouTube or Google. You can have, sorry, not YouTube, more Google, old media reports, old news reports. You probably could find a couple of me on YouTube. But what I've been saying is that they're dismissive of, sort of big mistakes, big errors. And in many cases indifferent to them. And let me give an example. He talks of 163 students receiving a wrongful medicine is a really bad thing. I think, I don't know, but I think these are perhaps minors in law. I don't know the full details yet. But yeah, that's assault. Injecting anybody with anything underage without their parents' consent is a major stuff up, and particularly if it's the wrong medicine. What on earth's going on? And I've got to tell you something. I know about this intimately because, and I care a lot about it because I was given something I should never have received as a child. And it was a medicine that I can tell you now, it had a monumental impact on my life. And it's the reason I'm talking to you tonight. Here I am, I'm nearly about to turn 49. I've been talking about this now for 30 years. So, I just want Brad Hazzard to know and want the world to know. In my opinion, we have to change the culture because I think the New South Wales Health Minister is talking about today at this press conference, he's talking about how we should be celebrating and everyone should be, he was making proud boasts about this. Here he is again, just so you don't forget what he looks like, about this 1 million vaccinations that were delivered today in New South Wales. And so when the journalists asked him about these 163 students being accidentally given a wrongful vaccination, he says, oh, so what, move on? Because he's saying, look at the glory of the 1 million vaccinations delivered, right? But what about the 163 children, right? I don't want to get into the fear business, and they might, because all I can say is this is what happened with contaminated blood, a similar thing. And we've got actual people in our group. We've got evidence of children that were given contaminated blood products who should never have actually received the blood products, even if they were contaminated or not. They were wrongfully given them, and then it turned out that they were contaminated. What an absolute disaster. And so, Brad Hazzard, you're representative of a culture gone wrong. And this is why I've been reaching out to Australia and reaching out overseas, saying, come on now, let's get these guys to step off. They're not thinking straight. I've had meetings with politicians over the years, and I don't know if it's because they deal with macro or bureaucrats. Some of these guys deal in such big numbers, but children deserve a little bit better than that. They're a little bit too quick to dismiss it. And that's why I'm going to keep fighting for children, other victims like myself who are victims of this sort of dismissive attitude and given a wrongful medicine that changed the course of our entire lives and that of our families. Thank you for your time tonight. I'd really appreciate if you go to infectedbloodaustralia.com and if you could sign up, or thank you for your time listening to me, I should say, to this video. If you could sign up to our support form, we really need to get an inquiry into what the bloody hell went wrong with Australia's blood supply and why it was so many children received blood products when they shouldn't have got them, and those blood products were contaminated, and why so many thousands of people ended up with hepatitis C from contaminated blood transfusions, blood products, and why so many people ended up with HIV and consequently AIDS, and why so many people have died without help. If you could support us into getting an inquiry to give us some answers and very much needed support, I'd be greatly appreciative. Thank you very much. Goodbye.